Masterclass with super investors. This is the final video. This is Chaitanya Dalmia, CIO at Renaissance Group. He likes to buy businesses that are out of favor, low valuation, and he wants to wait for that industry cycle to turn, and then he wants to ride that upside. So for whatever reason, the industry has had unfavored sector, not liked by anyone. You're able to buy it for cheap, ride the upside later. So he has a MBA, business family, business operations, making a lot of money. So he's started investing that money in the public market, whereas his brother started investing the some parts of money in the private equity and other spaces. So again, his mantra is buying out of favor businesses that are available for cheap and then riding the inevitable upside that the industry will have. So he believes that those industries will have those cycles. So he's liking those industries that are having the bottom of the cycle. The industry cycle is bottoming down, and so he likes to buy those companies. And he shared really good insights. He says, hey, you have to look for a unique selling point of the business model that you're trying to buy in, the company that you're trying to buy in. Look for management if they are competent, and look for various types of risks, and if those risks are mitigatable. He reads annual reports, wants to pay price that is cheap, and he thinks that, hey, you should have the guts to deploy all the money when everyone's shivering. So those are some of the key insights that he shared, right? How can you buy those companies that are available for cheap, having the guts to deploy the money, and doing your homework by reading the annual reports so that you understand the unique selling point, the USPs of the business model. And a few other things that he looks at: earnings should be growing, that and he doesn't look at the stock price daily because he thinks it's noise, and he thinks like investing is like watching the grass grow. And he strongly believes in having the guts or being greedy when others are fearful, right? And the types of risks that he said earlier, he's saying, hey, liquidity is a risk, promoter problems is a risk, business is a risk. So staying away from those risks or mitigating those risks or investing in such a way that your risks are taken care of is important. And he likes to say, hey, we play a game of investing where we don't lose much if we are wrong, but we double the money if we are right. So this is similar to Monish Pobrai, if you remember from the other series. He likes to do that. The odds are in his favor when he's investing. He says diversification is important. Remember, even Wells Fargo or Tesco and other companies where Warren Buffett was involved and invested, even those companies had issues. So if you had just bought Wells Fargo because Warren Buffett bought it and didn't diversify, that's a huge problem. So that was a key learning from him. Diversification is important. And time to sell shouldn't be linked with time to buy, which was a really good insight as well, I feel. He said, if you decide to sell something, just sell ruthlessly. Don't say, hey, I'm not going to be in cash. Just be in cash until you get a better idea. But selling should be independent of buying. Similarly, leaving a company should be independent than joining a company if you're trying to change a job. So that was a good insight. So growth in earnings. The way you look at companies, see if the earnings are growing, check if the capacity is overutilized, underutilized, check the margins, check for profitability, if there's a free cash flow generation, and check for improvement in balance sheet. So that's his mental model of looking through and finding out if this is a good company or not. The key insight he also shared about India is lack of enforceability of laws. The laws exist, but super critical to know this and value this in terms of risk that you're undertaking. We can't really keep those enforceability to happen very quickly, because even lenders, he says, they can't really do much about the defaulters. So individual minority shareholders, very hard. Investing, again, is multifaceted decision. He says you can do value investing, you can do growth investing, you can do bottom-up investing, you can do top-down investing, you can do thematic investing, you can do sectoral industry investing, you can do mid-cap investing, you can do small-cap investing, you can do trading, you can do speculation through trading, do arbitrage, and so many things, right? So understanding in investing in so many of these ways and deciding which one is the right one for you takes time. So give yourself the time and do the thing that works for you. And he says, ignore what you what you cannot influence, like the macros. He's like, hey, there's so many things you cannot ignore, that you cannot influence. Like the macros is one point of that. So it's pointless to worry about them. He says, hey, you can't. Similarly, there's so many other hard buckets, like influencing the management of the company, influencing the consumer behavior, influencing the government policy, influencing what the competitors would do, game theory and all of that, right? Influencing the technology changes, influencing the global liquidity, central banks, inflation. So many things are part of this macros that you can't really influence. So don't worry about that. Worry about what you can, which is all the things in the bold up here, right? Growth in earnings, under capacity, over capacity, healthy margins, profitability, cash flow generation. Do thorough homework, which is key insight from him. If the more thorough your homework is, the stronger your conviction. And it's okay to be broadly right than to be precisely wrong. So just keep it simple. Keep it simple. Yeah. And finally, he says every good investor is a learning machine. So keep learning, keep improving, and that's how we are going to be better investors. So that is Masterclass from Super. With super investors, we've seen so many super investors in this book. Chapter by chapter, we've gone through each one of them. I highly recommend getting this book. I've just covered some key points that I really liked, but the book has so much more. It's like 500 pages, but it's worth it to go through each one of them. Hopefully this inspires you to go through the book overall and share your learnings in the comments below as well. Thanks.